to be looking at a little bit of upheaval because, these are unusual times and we don't know, really, nobody knows what to expect. What is it like for an entire planet, if that's what happens, to suddenly be swooped into a higher density or a higher dimension or a higher realm of being? Who knows? I don't know if it's ever happened with us before, but it certainly seems like a fun ride. I think that we all have tickets to it, so if we can hang on to the, to the merry-go-round and not fly off, then that'd be to our benefit, I would think.
And again, if we're true to our beliefs about karma and reincarnation, we decided to be on the planet at this time because of these very events, and these very events giving us the opportunity to, really continue to grow to be the spiritual person we aspire to be. There was I don't know if you ever read this book. I think it was entitled Life After Life, and it was written by a California psychotherapist who did a bunch of past life regression therapy. Do you remember this book?
Yes, I do. That was a good book.
And one of the
I don't
things,
remember. Go ahead. You talk about it, would you?
Yeah, I remember one of the things that came out in the book was that she did a lot of work with people and effectively in the reincarnation and in the past life regression technique, was working with people between lifetimes.
Yes, yes, I found that fascinating.
And then she led them up to a point where they were just about to come back into the next lifetime or into this lifetime. And she asked them, why now? Why are you coming in? And to the person they said, I need to be on Earth at this time. It's a very special time.
Yes. Yeah, I just heard that today, ironically. This is a good example of synchronicity kicking in. I've read the 3 of the Convoluted Universe books that Dolores Cannon has written, and she regresses her clients to back into their previous lives. Now, when we say previous, we know that there is no previous and there is no future. It's all a now. But we have to use those terms because that's the way that we have to talk about it. But she was saying that many people have incarnated at this time to assist with the major shifts that are coming. And I was just watching that video today and found it very intriguing that she was speaking about the cosmic shifts that are coming.
Right, and again, it's to assist, but it's also to be present.
Right, and it's not so much important. I get hung up a lot on what should I be doing and am I doing it right and all that, and that's just mind stuff that we need to just let go like clouds floating through our minds. We're here. Whatever we're doing the right thing, and synchronicity usually keys me into when I'm doing things really right. When I'm tuned in to the right radio station. Sometimes it's fuzzy and things just kind of go along lumpity-lump. But when you're really tuned in on that 98.5 and it's coming in clear, that classical station, it's undoubtable. You go to the car and on the radio is something that's synchronous, and then you see something, and it's like being on a magic carpet ride when the universe kicks in with the synchronicity. So, whatever we're doing, we're always in the right place at the right time, and if we're not, it usually feels like a brick hitting us in the head. At least that's my experience. I don't know how you experience it.
I agree fully. I was running a retreat last weekend, and the people there were really talking about that as being, a very important visceral awareness. When we've got when we have that radio station tuned in perfectly, there's a peace and there's a harmony within us, and we're feeling safe and we're feeling like we're in the right place. Unfortunately, we don't all think about that and react as quickly as maybe we should when we're not feeling equally as well, right?
Yes, yes. And one thing that both of us are, I made a mental note to mention this from your book, was when you get that feeling that in your mind, it's more of an impression, don't do that, or, it's like it's more like I'll give an example. Today I was going on to a website that has a lot of very dark material about what's going on in certain places, and it was in my mind it was, you'll be sorry. And I went there and read this manuscript, and I'm telling you, it just took me hours to regain my composure after reading all of this really dark material. So you have to listen to that inner voice, and it's usually the one that knows, and it's usually the first one out of the out of the gate. Then your mind will come in and say, oh, don't be silly. Go on, do it. And so I've learned that when I listen to that thought, that voice, that guidance, then usually 9 times out of 10 it's right.
Well, that's true. And, to me, part of what being, involved in spiritual practices and spiritual teachings about is literally that. Really learning to pay attention to that internal pacemaker, the voice that's really speaking.
Yeah.
And we all know that we really don't get into as much trouble if we listen to that as we do that other voice. And I think when I read about the ideas of self-mastery and being the spiritual people we aspire to be, some of that is really on a physical level, being in that place where we're operating from that place of personal truth. And, ultimately we hope that truth is representing a more universal truth, not just a personal one.
Mm-hmm. Stephen, we're almost at the end of the hour, and I'd like a couple of things, if you could. One thing is, if you had one thing to share with the listeners that you might be inclined to share with your groups that you lead, and as a kind of a overall word of wisdom, could you do that? And then I also want you to mention your website and where people can find your book, that is available, The Secret Key.
Okay, great, thank you. Probably the most important message, if I could use it that way, that I'm sharing with people these days is that it's really a time for us to really increase our self-awareness in our reactions to other people and our interaction with the world around us. And to take that one step further and remember that we're really seeing that through our own eyes. We're really evaluating the world around us from our own standpoint. And I don't know that we're always willing to take that step. And that includes our reactions to one another. When we're feeling loving and supportive, that's an easy one. When we're feeling maybe a little bit more removed and judgmental, that can be a more difficult one. But, remembering, too, that we are one world, and that is a very, very important concept that, I really think that we should all be walking, especially in these days.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Stephen. And your website is www, and I'll let you do the rest.
It's StephenThompson.net. It's my name, and the hard part about it is my last name is Scott, so it's Thomson. There's no P. The English spelling has the P in it, so it's StephenThompson.net, and I've got some recordings on there of past workshops that I've done. There's a monthly article that appears on the site, and there's a lot of great links too.
Well, Stephen, thank you so much for being on the show, and I really had a wonderful time talking to you. You're just very easy to connect with, and even that little blank spot was kind of fun. I think the audience probably had more fun with it than we did. But thank you so much for being on the show tonight. You're terrific.
Lance, thank you so much. I've enjoyed it very much.
Okay, and good night, Stephen, and good night, everybody.
Thank you. Good night to you.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody.